So this was the sci fantasy palette cleanser I did not know I needed. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Tori, and today I am so excited to give you a book review for Down Below Beyond, a sci-fantasy book by T.A. Bruno. So I've been waiting to read T.A. Bruno's work for quite a long time. I also have his book In the Orbit of Sirens on my shelf, and I fully anticipated to get to that one first. But when I saw the cover for Down Below Beyond when it recently came out, I mean, this is a sexy cover. Look at this cover. It's incredible. It's one of my favorite covers of the year. I'm done now. Anyways, I have been kind of looking to get into a little bit more sci-fantasy. I do absolutely love a little bit of sci-fantasy on occasion, but I always feel a little bit nervous because I'm still fairly new to a lot of science fiction and I never know if I'm going to enjoy it or not. But man, when I tell you that this book was the perfect experience when I picked it up, I'm not exaggerating that at all. So Down Below Beyond is the story of Levort Atra, or Eatra, and he is a salvager. He's kind of a low-class guy that has to go to this ruined planet and find things that he can sell to get money to keep himself going. He has an enforcer friend named Befo that comes along with him on these treks, and Befo is basically the muscle of the operation. Now these two go down to this ruined planet, they're looking at things, and they stumble across something very strange for the first time in their career as salvagers, and that's when things start to go horribly off course. So that is the basic opener. If you want to go read the synopsis of this book, I encourage you to do so. That'll be linked down in the comments below. You can go check it out. So this is going to be a fairly spoiler-free review because I don't intend to give you guys any of the actual plot points, but I want to talk about the things that I loved in this story. Now, first of all, as you can tell, it is not a very long book, and man, does it read quickly. The chapters are really short. Each of them is very punchy. There's no wasted words, and each character that has a POV within this story is so incredibly interesting and fun to read. There really wasn't a single POV that I disliked. There wasn't a POV where I was kind of trying to get to the next one. Each one of these was really interesting, and I loved the motley crew of characters included within the story. Now, T.A. Bruno has a lot of experience within the animated film world. He actually works for DreamWorks, and he just has a wealth of knowledge about cinematic art. And that is something that is useful to know because this book shows all of that. It reads very much like a cinematic action-adventure film, and I loved that about it. Everything is so vibrant and interesting, and the world-building details are so great. When you get the paperback or hardcover version of this book, as you can see, there is hand-drawn art inside that gives you the planetary system and also this little glossary of the different alien races, which brings me to that part of this read. The way that T.A. Bruno creates and describes the alien races, you can definitely tell that this is a passion area for him because each of these alien species is so interestingly developed. We get a lot of little details in how they eat, how they move, how they operate, what matters to them, the kind of culture that they come from for each individual species. And it never feels like an info dump. It doesn't feel like we're getting too much information. It just feels like a very authentic, organic experience as these characters move through the story. Now, this book also could be considered a portal fantasy of sorts because we are hopping to different worlds quite a bit throughout the story, which is super interesting. And another thing that Bruno did really well is making each of those worlds very distinct. Levort kind of collects this little motley group of found family characters from a bunch of different species as we go throughout the book, and it just... the Motley Crew vibes made my heart so happy. This is an incredibly well done Motley Crew. All of the character interactions were really fresh and fun and interesting and just felt like these were real characters that were living and breathing off the page, which is always something that I appreciate. We get everything from portal hopping to salvaging to spaceship battles to prison breaks. There are so many things that happen in the space of this novel. I remember putting it down at the end and just being amazed by how much T.A. Bruno packs into this small book. At the heart of this story, beyond the kind of motley crew axis of Down Below Beyond, is the story of a friendship, and that is the friendship between Lavort and Beifo, who have known each other since they were children. Lavort kind of comes from a not-so-great orphan situation, and Beifo has kind of always been there to pick him up. And this, to me, was really a story that explored growing up and how relationships can change. And in my opinion, it also kind of explored how the way we view certain people, especially those that have been in our lives for a really long time, as different than they actually are, and as people who we sometimes take for granted. I think what really made the magic of this book for me was the fact that T.A. Bruno really balances the deeper, heavier themes that are in this story so incredibly well, with lightheartedness and humor and all of this vibrant, beautiful world building and species building and character building. There's so much heart in this story, and there were some of these characters in here that I was so incredibly invested in. I couldn't stop turning the pages. I cried at the end of this book, which is definitely a kudos to the author, because I don't cry super often in books, and so the fact that I got very emotional at the end of this book was, in my opinion, that's a huge applause from me. If you read Down Below Beyond and discover that you absolutely love it, you can also check out the beginning of T.A. Bruno's other series, and the first book is In the Orbit of Sirens. You can tell that this one is a little bit chunkier. This one I have not read yet, but after reading Down Below Beyond, this one has definitely moved up on my TBR list. So I hope you guys decide to check this book out. If you do, please let me know down in the comments if you've already read it. I'd love to hear about your experience as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are all having 5-star reads, a great week, and I will see you in the next video.